What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to the channel. It's gonna be my first video ever posted on this channel. Overly excited to get it out and share with you guys. Today it's just going to be a Q&A of, I don't know, kind of my backstory and how I got into fashion styling, and just some tips and tricks on how you can get into it as well too. If you don't know me by now, my name is Jaden. I'm 20 years old. I'm a fashion stylist and I'm a nursing major. So yeah, let's get into the Q&A. All right, so these questions were posted from my Instagram page, on my Instagram story. I have quite a few questions that you guys sent me, so yeah, let's get into it. First question is, what made you want to become a stylist? What made me really want to become a stylist? I started a clothing brand my freshman year in college, so I've always just had, like some type of knack for fashion, even since I was like a little child. A lot of other people started, starting clothing brands, and I felt like it wasn't really authentic to me. It wasn't really true to me. I felt like I was doing it just to do it, if that makes sense. I didn't really have a true passion for making clothes. I feel like my passion was more on the creative side of the industry, in the fashion industry. So I kind of wanted to deviate myself from what everybody else was doing, and I wanted to just kind of start in my own lane. So yeah, that's how I got into styling. I was inspired by other stylists as well too, and I thought it was pretty cool. That's pretty much what made me want to be a stylist. I just wanted to do something different than what everybody else was doing at my age, so that's how I got into it. I was already kind of dressing my friends on the side, so it was a little bit more natural for me to, do styling than it was to start a clothing brand. What are some startup jobs or positions you did to get in the position that you are right now? Jeez. As a stylist, there's always, more work to be done. There's always better work that you can do. So I'm by far nowhere near where I want to be as a stylist. I started by styling for a couple of local brands in my area. So that kind of helped me build my own portfolio. When I had a brand, I was doing all the styling and creative direction as well. So, that kind of fit into my portfolio also. So I started by, just building my own portfolio by local brands, of my brand. And I also just did like creative shoots to get where I'm at now. A lot of people and connections that I made in the Atlanta area, they let me style their runway shows. And then, I felt confident enough to reach out to an agency who thankfully gave me the opportunity to, be lead stylist at their modeling agency. And yeah, that's pretty much how I started off. Next question. Where do you find style inspiration outside of designers or brands? That's a good one. A lot of fashion print, truthfully, is where I find a lot of my inspiration. Depending on the project, I also look at older fashion scans or older fashion magazines to get inspiration. When I'm working on creative projects, Pinterest is a very, very, very slept on tool to use when wanting to gain inspiration for any type of creative styling project that you have. A perfect example of what I mean when I mean like fashion print. This is a book from Ruth Carter. She's a world-renowned costume designer, and she has so much stuff in here that can give me any type of inspiration when it comes to like runway styling, on-set styling, if I wanted to, style for a short film or just any creative project idea that I do have. What age were you when you started styling? I was 19 when I first initially started styling. It was my sophomore year in college, right before my birthday, my 20th birthday. So yeah, I was 19. How are you sure every look you put out will be fire as a stylist? Honestly, just a lot of confidence. It's really hard to be sure that every look is going to look good to everybody else, but me personally, I know, and then I think every single look that I put out is going to be a hit. A lot of that really does come with just getting repetition as a stylist, so a lot of practice, a lot of behind the scenes work that a lot of people aren't really going to see, posted or promoted on any social media pages. What is the financial side like for you styling wise? So as a stylist, there's a lot that goes into it financially. When it comes to sourcing pieces, you could do it on a very expensive budget, or you can do it on a very tight budget. With the more tight budget, of course, the thrifts are going to be your best friend for sure. On a more expensive budget, depending on the project and who you're working for, if you're working for anybody, A lot of the times, your clients will give you budgets that you can't really go over. For instance, if you're working with a celebrity, that budget's typically going to be a little bit more higher than if you were just doing a project by yourself or styling for a lower profile client. So even if you include travel, food, and like hotel or Airbnb stay, and even gas, you have to factor all of that into your prices as a stylist. So when it comes to the cost, and what I'm paying out of my pockets, it's not that much, just because whenever I'm working with a client, typically there's something, some type of stipulation in the contract saying that they have to cover a certain amount of specifics when it comes to me working for them. I don't pay a lot as a stylist, truthfully, unless I'm working for my own, for my own self or my own project. Are you big into Japanese fashion? Yes and no. It really depends on like the article of clothing or the category of clothing. For more like formal wear, definitely I'm more of a fan of like Issey Miyake. You have more like streetwear and casual brands like Yamimoto. When it comes to like a streetwear vibe, more vintage, of course you got Capital. Do I own a lot of those pieces? I have a few Capital pieces. I have some Satoshi pieces as well too, but I don't have near as much as what I would like to get later down the line. But yeah, biggest pet peeve in the fashion industry currently. Ooh, that's a tough one. I have a lot of them. My biggest pet peeve is like when people judge other people about what they wear and like their personal style. I feel like that's one of the things that's killing the fashion industry now. A lot of people have so much to say about what somebody else is wearing, when truthfully it's just their personal style. I don't really get too much into what people are wearing. I definitely do think there's a such thing as a bad outfit, like a bad or like a poorly put together outfit. But I don't know. That's very subjective and a very touchy topic. Yeah, moving on to the next one. How do I come up with styling ideas from a creative standpoint? I feel like that kind of goes hand in hand with the other question that was asked as far as where do I get my inspiration from. As far as me coming up with different styling ideas and creative projects that I do for myself or for my portfolio, it truthfully depends on what I want to push as a stylist or as a creative. There's certain things that I want in my portfolio at certain times, depending on the type of jobs or the type of projects that I want to work on or for other people. All right, this question doesn't necessarily have to do anything with styling, but it's about modeling. I want to be a model. How do I get into the modeling industry or the fashion world? For one, find out what type of model you want to be, whether it be e-com, whether it be runway, or whether it be like editorial. I feel like it's definitely important to do your research, get in contact with people who are already models to get their side of the modeling industry. Of course, their perspective is going to be different from what you're going to get within the fashion industry. Take your digitals too. I definitely say you have to take your digitals. Find a local photographer that knows what they're doing and that has shot digitals before. Take those digitals. Third, find a good modeling agency. A modeling agency is going to help you develop into the model that you need to be, and it's going to help you get to the level that you want to be. If you really want a good modeling agency, shout out to the theryabrand. That's who I style for right now. But yeah, we can get you right. I'll post a link in my bio for that as well. What are some of your goals as a stylist? Some of my goals as a stylist, actually, hold on. I have a list right here. So I made this list in May of last summer, so 2025. This past summer that's gone. I made this whole list of things that I want to accomplish as a fashion stylist. So some of those are get invited to the Met Gala, style for New York Fashion Week, Vogue feature, style in Milan Fashion Week, get published in a major magazine, build a stable celebrity styling clientele, get published in a major fashion blog, style an athlete, style a major runway show, style for a major magazine, style for a luxury fashion house, style a major brand campaign, style at a major sporting event like the Super Bowl or like the NBA Finals for either a celebrity or an athlete, and make a living off of my fashion and styling career. So yeah, some other sub goals that I have, just like that are not really stylist related, is to become a creative director and start my own clothing line. Yeah. Ooh, this is the question that I've really been waiting to discuss. How do you balance wanting to become a nurse and being a fashion stylist? So, this could be a whole nother video in itself, which I'll probably end up making. But yeah, so one of the main things that I try to tell people that people always give me backlash about, or push over about, is how do you maintain, or how do you think you're going to maintain a healthcare career, and wanting to work in the fashion industry, because they don't coincide at all. The simple response that I give them is, I'm already doing it. You know what I mean? Like I said, I've been working within the fashion industry for 2 years now. And I mean, I've been in college for 3, so it's not hard for me to really maintain that balance between the things that I want to do from a passion-driven standpoint and a career-driven standpoint. And what I mean by that is, just the career between me being a fashion stylist and me wanting to become a nurse. You honestly you have to have different seasons in your life and different periods set out for certain things. Like, for instance, I dedicate pretty much my whole fall semester, or the early fall semester, to maybe 1 or 2 major projects. But then, like, the rest of those months within that semester is strictly dedicated towards me getting my education, if that makes sense. I leave my weekends open a lot of the times just in case I do have a big project coming up, so that way I don't have any obligation towards school, if that makes sense. With me, I study pretty much every day, so I study either before or even after shoots or styling jobs. Truthfully, just dedication. It comes down to how bad you want it and how bad you want to prove people wrong. As a stylist, what are some brands that you hope to work with in the future? Some brands that I would really like to work with in the future, right off the top of my head for sure. It's always been a dream of mine to work for Ralph Lauren. I want to work with Denim Tears. Shout out to Tremaine Emery. Reason being is because he's from my hometown, or a city next to my hometown, but he's pretty much from my hometown, so it'll be pretty cool to work with somebody who's already made it out of your own city. If I had another brand to work for, it would be Louis Vuitton. Shout out to Pharrell. We love our Black creative directors. If I had to work with another designer or brand, Grace Wells Bonner. Would love to work with her and her brand. If I had to work for another brand for sure, Maison Margiela. It's my favorite brand overall. So yeah, Maison Margiela for sure. I would like to work with in the future too. What are some of the major accomplishments that you fulfilled as a stylist? So I think my most major accomplishment for sure was being able to style for one of the past America's Top Models in Miami Swim Week. That was pretty cool. The attention that that the work got was pretty awesome within like my first year of styling. That's something that I never would have thought would have been able to happen. So all praise to God, and thank you to my agency for always giving me a chance and always trusting me with opportunities. Another one doesn't necessarily have to do anything with like styling specific, but I held a fashion show on my campus in my hometown, and this city has no type of fashion sense at all, especially from a university side. So like compared to schools like GSU, SCAD, and Howard. Reason being is because I held that fashion show, and I had over 550 people in attendance. 571, I think, to be exact. But yeah, that was just a quick Q&A video. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I can't wait to put out more content for you guys in the future. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on this video if you want to see more amazing content. And yeah, thanks for watching this video. Peace out.